Welcome back to Money Mastery Now, the channel that helps you take control of your money, one smart habit at a time. If you want to master your budget, crush debt, and build lasting wealth, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Let me start this video with a simple truth. Everyone overspends. Yes, everyone. Even the most disciplined budgeters, the ones with spreadsheets, the personal finance creators you follow, even me. Nobody gets it perfect all the time. Sometimes it's a big purchase that throws the whole plan off. Sometimes it's a lot of little things that sneak in when we're not looking. And sometimes life just doesn't go the way we expected. You open your banking app, look at the numbers, and your heart sinks. This wasn't supposed to happen. I was trying so hard this month. Why does this keep happening to me? And then the guilt starts to settle in. You feel like you failed, like you're not good with money, like budgeting just isn't for you. But here's what I want you to hear. Clearly, overspending doesn't mean you're bad with money. It just means you're human. And this moment right now, it's not a disaster. It's not a failure. It's an opportunity, because how you respond to overspending matters far more than the fact that it happened. And that's what this video is about. Not judgment, not shame, but a clear, simple plan to help you get back on track. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through what to do when you overspend, step by step, with clarity, without pressure, without guilt. We'll talk about what to do right after you realize you went over budget, how to understand what really happened without spiraling, what short-term moves you can make to recover, and how to make sure this doesn't keep happening month after month. This isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress, about showing up for yourself, even when things go off course. So if you've had that moment recently, the one where you feel the weight in your chest and the frustration building, just breathe. You're not alone. You're not broken. And you are absolutely not stuck. In fact, by being here, you've already taken the first step toward taking back control. You're choosing to learn. You're choosing to take action. You're choosing to do things differently. And that, right there, is the heart of financial growth. So grab a notebook if you want, or just sit and listen. Let's walk through this together. Let's turn overspending into clarity, into calm, into confidence. Let's begin. So you've gone over budget. You're looking at your numbers. You know something's off. And the first thing that shows up isn't logic, it's emotion, frustration, shame, maybe even panic. That's normal. But before you do anything else, pause. Take a breath. Literally, right now. Inhale. Exhale. You're okay. Overspending isn't a financial death sentence. It's not the end of your plan. It's just information. And the most important thing you can do in this moment is to stay calm and be honest. Not defensive. Not avoidant. Not dramatic. Just honest. That means admitting to yourself what happened without exaggerating, without sugarcoating. You don't need to make excuses. You don't need to explain it to anyone else. You just need to face the truth clearly and kindly. And here's why that matters. Because a lot of people, when they overspend, do one of two things. They either ignore it, pretend it didn't happen, avoid looking at their accounts, and hope next month will magically be better. Or they punish themselves, cut out all spending, delete their budgeting app, cancel plans, and label themselves as bad with money. Both reactions come from emotion, and both create more problems than they solve. Avoiding means you never fix the leak. You just let it keep dripping, month after month. Punishing yourself turns budgeting into a punishment instead of a plan, and that's a recipe for burnout. So here's the better way. You treat it like a conversation, like a check-in, like a coach looking at game footage not to criticize, but to understand what went wrong and how to adjust. You say, okay, I went over, let me look at why. Not from guilt, but from curiosity. So here's your first real step. Open your budget, or your bank app, or whatever system you use, and take a clear look. What category went over? How far over? Was this a one-time thing, or has this been happening for a while? And most importantly, why? Sometimes the answer is obvious. Maybe your car broke down, or your dog needed emergency vet care. That's life. You didn't plan for it, but you handled it. That's not a failure, it's a win. It's proof that you're adapting. Other times, the answer is more subtle. Maybe you ate out more than usual because you were stressed. Maybe you bought things to feel better after a rough week. Maybe you underestimated what groceries would cost this month. Whatever the reason, this isn't about blame. It's about awareness. You can't fix what you won't face. And the truth is, most overspending isn't a budgeting problem. It's a life problem that your budget hasn't learned how to work with yet. That's okay. You're learning. So ask yourself this. Was your budget unrealistic from the start? Did you plan to spend $100 on food when your average is always closer to $300? Did you try to cut out everything you enjoy and then feel deprived and binge spend later? If the answer is yes, you don't need more willpower. You need a more honest budget. And if the overspending came from emotion, that's useful information too. Maybe budgeting isn't just about numbers. Maybe it's also about habits, about stress, about routines that no longer serve you. That kind of insight. That's powerful. Because once you see the real reason behind your overspending, you can actually do something about it. You can adjust your numbers. You can adjust your environment. You can build a plan that works with your life instead of against it. So let's recap where we are. You've taken a breath. You've opened your numbers. You've been honest about what happened. That alone puts you ahead of where most people stop. Most people either ignore it or they beat themselves up. You're doing neither. You're stepping into the truth, calmly, clearly, without shame. And that's how real change begins. In the next part of this video, we're going to look at what to do next. How to take what you've learned and actually respond right now. This month without throwing everything away. We'll go over smart, practical steps to rebalance your budget, make space for what happened, and move forward with confidence. So stay with me. The plan is coming together. Now that you've calmed your emotions and faced the situation honestly, it's time to zoom in. You're not just trying to recover, you're trying to understand. And that means getting specific. This is the part a lot of people skip. They see that they overspent and say, "Oh, I blew it," and then move on, usually without learning anything. But you're going to do this differently. You're going to find the exact numbers. You're going to understand the why, and then you're going to make smarter decisions moving forward. Let's start with the basics. How much did you actually go over? Not just a feeling. Not just "I think I messed up." I mean the actual number. This is where your bank app, budgeting tool, or notebook comes in. Pull it up. Go category by category. Look at what you plan to spend. Now look at what you actually spent. Start with the biggest categories: groceries, dining out, transportation, entertainment, subscriptions, personal spending. Ask yourself, which categories are over? By how much? Which ones are still under? Is there anything you forgot to budget for? Let's say you planned $400 for groceries, but you spent $530. That's a $130 overage. Or you budgeted $100 for eating out, but you ended up at $185 daily, another $85 over. Keep a running total. This is your overage amount. Now, you have a real number. And guess what? That number is power. Because once you know how much you went over, you can start making decisions. You're not in the dark anymore. Next comes the why. This is where real change starts. Ask yourself, was this a one-time surprise? Was it something you forgot to plan for? Was it caused by emotion stress, boredom, loneliness, celebration? Was it a pattern you've seen before? Here's the trick. Be kind, but be curious. If you overspent on food, was it because prices went up or because you got tired and ordered takeout too often? If you overspent on gas, Was it because you traveled more or because you underestimated your real needs? If you overspent on shopping, was it because of a sale or because you were feeling down and needed a boost? Each answer gives you insight not just into your budget, but into yourself. And that's the whole point, because budgeting isn't just a numbers game, it's a mirror. It shows you where your life and your money aren't aligned. And when you see that clearly, you can make adjustments that actually work for you, not just for the spreadsheet. Now let's talk about the two kinds of overspending. There's structural overspending and there's behavioral overspending. Structural overspending means your budget was unrealistic from the beginning. You didn't plan enough for what life really costs. Maybe you budgeted $150 for groceries because that's what you hope to spend. But you've never spent less than $300. That's not a spending failure, it's a budgeting mistake. The fix: adjust your budget to reflect reality. Gradually, intentionally. Then there's behavioral overspending. That's when you had a decent plan but something got in the way. A stressful week, a birthday party, a moment of weakness. That's not a budgeting problem, it's a habit loop. And those are fixable. 2. You just need awareness, not punishment. Ask yourself, when do I tend to overspend? What triggers it? What would help me pause next time? For example, if you always overspend on weekends, maybe that's your moment to set a reminder or give yourself a small, separate fun money budget. If you tend to shop late at night, maybe that's your sign to uninstall shopping apps after 9 p.m. or leave your wallet in another room. These little patterns matter. They show you where your systems are weak and where you can reinforce them. Now, one more thing. Check if any other categories are under budget. You might find that while you overspent in one area, you underspent in another, and that means you have room to rebalance. Maybe you spent $100 more on food, but you spent $50 less on gas and $60 less on entertainment. Suddenly, your overage isn't as scary. You just need to shift things around. And we'll talk more about how to do that in the next section. But right now, your job is simple. Be specific. Know your number. Understand the cause. And take one note about what you'll do differently next time. Even just writing down, groceries went over because I didn't track mid-month, or I didn't account for birthday gifts, is a win. Because next month, you'll plan for that. And that's how progress happens. In the next part of this video, we'll walk through exactly what to do this month to fix the overspending, how to shift categories, reduce in other areas, and make room for recovery without stress or shame. You're doing great. Let's keep going. So now you know the truth. You've seen your numbers. You've looked at the categories. You know how much you went over and maybe even why. That's huge. Most people never get this far. Now it's time for the most empowering part of the process. Responding. Fixing. Making your budget work again right now. This month. Yes. It's possible. Even if you feel like everything's already off track, there's still time to adjust. You don't have to wait until next month to reset. You can pivot today. And here's how. The first thing you do is look at what's left in your budget for the rest of the month. How many days are left? How many paychecks? How many fixed bills are still coming? Pull that info together. Then ask, what categories still have money in them? Is there any area where you've spent less than expected? Maybe you haven't used your full transportation budget yet. Maybe your entertainment category is untouched. Maybe you've spent less on personal care or subscriptions. This is where you play the role of budget manager, not punisher. You're going to rebalance. Let's say you went over by $120 on groceries, but you still have $60 left in your dining out category and $40 in entertainment. That's $100 you can shift over to cover part of the grocery overspend. You're not erasing the problem, you're managing it. This is budgeting in real time. It's not static. It moves with you. Think of it like moving weights between different parts of a shelf so it doesn't tip over. You're not tossing the whole shelf, you're keeping it steady. Now, what if there's no room to shift? What if every category feels tight? Then it's time to make small, temporary sacrifices. And I emphasize the word temporary. This is not about punishment. It's about protecting your priorities. Ask yourself, what can I pause or cancel this month? What can I delay until next month without real harm? Where can I get creative with spending? Maybe you skip one takeout night. Maybe you push that Target run to next month. Maybe you swap out 2 streaming subscriptions you barely used. These don't have to be dramatic. Even saving $10 here and $20 there adds up. Let's say you're over budget by $150. You find $50 to shift from other categories. Then you cut back $25 from food delivery, pause a $15 subscription, and decide not to buy the new headphones this month. That's $140 recovered. You're almost balanced again. And you didn't starve. You didn't suffer. You adjusted. Now let's talk about your emergency fund. This part is important. If the overspending came from a real emergency like medical bills, car repairs, or something unexpected and essential, it's okay to use your emergency fund. That's what it's there for. But if it was just emotional spending or forgetting to plan ahead, try not to tap into that money. Instead, make this a moment of learning. And if you do end up using your emergency fund, set a plan to replenish it. Even $20 a week toward rebuilding is a win. The goal isn't to avoid mistakes. The goal is to respond to them well. One more tip: be open with your partner or family. If you share finances, overspending can be a stressful topic, but hiding it makes it worse. Say something like, "Hey, we went over a bit this month in groceries, but I found a way to shift things around so we're still on track overall." That shows leadership, not weakness. And if you budget solo, still speak kindly to yourself. Don't use words like blew it or ruined it. Use words like I adjusted and I stayed aware. That's what this process is really about: awareness and adjustment. So let's recap what you've just done. You reviewed your current month. You identified the overage. You looked for underused categories. You shifted money where possible. You made short-term sacrifices if needed. And you created a plan to recover without spiraling or shutting down. That's real financial power. And it doesn't come from never making mistakes. It comes from responding to those mistakes with calm, clarity, and compassion. In the next part of this video, we're going to talk about what happens next month, how to rebuild your budget to prevent this from happening again. We'll talk about realistic planning, building buffers, and protecting your progress. You're doing amazing. Let's keep going. Now that you've handled the current month, let's look ahead. This is the part where most people drop the ball. They patch things up in the short term, but they don't make changes that prevent the same problems from happening again next month. But not you. You're going to use this experience to upgrade your budget, to make it smarter, stronger, more realistic, and more in tune with your actual life. That starts with a question. What did you learn this month? Maybe your grocery budget was too low. Maybe you forgot to plan for a birthday gift or annual subscription. Maybe your budget didn't include a buffer for life just happens moments. Whatever it was, write it down. Name it. Don't just assume you'll remember. Turn it into an insight. Then, use that insight to adjust your categories next month. If you went over on food by 100, don't just hope you'll magically spend less next time. Increase your food budget by $50 or $75 and find that money by trimming somewhere else. That's not failure. That's data. And budgets built on real data work better than budgets built on wishful thinking. Next, build in a cushion. One of the best ways to prevent overspending is to create a small, just-in-case category, sometimes called a buffer or a flex fund. It doesn't have to be big. Even 5 to 10% of your monthly income can go a long way. Let's say your take-home pay is $3. Nort. A 5% buffer is $150. That could cover a forgotten bill, a last-minute invite, or a surprise expense without breaking your plan. Think of it as shock absorption for your budget. When the road gets bumpy, the buffer keeps everything from falling apart. Another smart move. Set a reminder to check in with your budget mid-month. It can be a calendar alert, a phone notification, or a simple sticky note. Pick a day, maybe the 15th, and take 10 minutes to see how things are going. Not to criticize yourself, but to catch any drift before it becomes a crash. If you've already gone over in a category, you can start rebalancing early if you're right on track. It's a great confidence boost. Either way, it keeps your budget alive and responsive. Now, let's talk about specific problem areas. If your overspending tends to come from emotional triggers, stress, boredom, celebration, consider setting a spending rule, something like the 24-hour pause. That means before any non-essential purchase over a certain amount, say $50, you wait 24 hours before buying. It gives your logical brain time to catch up to your emotional brain. 9 times out of 10, you won't even want the thing the next day. And if you still do, great, you'll know it's not an impulse. Another option, a wish list note on your phone. Every time you feel the urge to buy something, add it to the list, then review it at the end of the month. You'll be amazed how many things no longer feel urgent once the moment passes. And if you share finances with a partner, use this moment to update your budget together. Not in a critical way, but in a collaborative way. Say, hey, last month we went over in a few areas. Let's make some adjustments so next month feels smoother. It invites teamwork, not tension. Now, I want to emphasize one more thing. This process is ongoing. You don't build a perfect budget once and never touch it again. Your life changes. Your income changes. Your values change. And so your budget should evolve. 2. Think of each month as a new experiment. Each overspend as a data point. Each adjustment as a skill learned. And over time, that process turns into progress. That progress turns into stability. And that stability turns into freedom. So here's your next step. Before the next month begins, review this month's wins and misses. Update your categories based on what really happened. Add a buffer if you didn't have one. Set a mid-month check-in. And decide on one small new habit to protect yourself next time. Just one. Maybe it's packing lunch one extra day a week. Maybe it's a no-spend weekend. Maybe it's journaling when you feel the urge to impulse buy. Small things. Sustainable things. Things that compound over time. In the final part of this video, we'll bring it all together. We'll walk through a weekly check-in routine to help you stay ahead of overspending before it happens again. You've made it this far. Don't stop now. Let's finish strong. Let's talk about prevention. Because once you've gone through the stress of overspending, once you've faced the numbers, rebalanced your categories, and fixed your plan, you probably don't want to do it again. And here's the good news. You don't need to rely on willpower. You don't need to be perfect. You just need a system, a habit, a simple routine you can follow every single week to stay ahead of your budget and ahead of the stress. It doesn't have to take long. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just 15 to 20 minutes once a week. That's it. I call it your weekly money check-in. Here's what it looks like. Step 1. Open your budget or money tracking app. This might be YNAB, Monarch, a spreadsheet, or even a notebook. Whatever you use, go there. Step 2. Review your current spending by category. Don't just glance. Actually look. What have you spent in each area? What's left in each budget line? Is anything trending too high too early in the month? You don't need to fix anything yet, just get the data. Awareness is always the first step. Step 3. Look ahead. What's coming up in the next 7 days? Do you have a birthday dinner? A school payment? A subscription renewal? Is there a holiday weekend or a gas refill coming? This step is often skipped, and it's the reason people feel surprised by spending that was totally predictable. Take 5 minutes to write down or highlight what's coming. Step 4. Make tiny adjustments if you're already a little over on one category. Can you cut back somewhere else? If you see a big expense coming up, can you plan for it now, even move a little money in advance? This isn't about drastic moves. It's about small pivots. Think of it like adjusting your course by 2 degrees. Do it early, and you never veer off track. Step 5. Reflect on your emotions. Yes, your emotions. Ask yourself, how did I feel about money this week? Was I anxious, frustrated, empowered, distracted? Money isn't just math, it's emotional. And when you bring awareness to how your feelings affect your spending, you get your power back. Write down one thing that felt hard and one thing that felt good. This helps you build emotional intelligence around money, not just logic. And finally, step 6, celebrate a small win. Did you bring lunch instead of eating out one day? Did you say no to a purchase you used to say yes to? Did you check your bank account before spending? That's a win. Too often we only focus on what went wrong, but focusing on what went right reinforces the habits you want to build. You are becoming someone who checks in weekly, someone who makes adjustments early, someone who notices patterns and acts on them. That's financial maturity. That's long-term change. And if you're worried about forgetting, here's what I suggest. Pick a weekly trigger. It could be Sunday night, Monday morning, Friday afternoon. Pair it with something you already do, like drinking your morning coffee or setting your weekly calendar. Make it a ritual, a moment of calm, clarity, and intention. This is your money date with yourself. You don't need spreadsheets and charts, just honesty, a few notes, a few decisions. And if you miss a week, don't quit. Just start again. Consistency doesn't mean never missing. It means returning again and again with purpose. So to recap your weekly check-in, open your budget and get the data. Review spending by category. Look ahead at the next 7 days. Adjust small things now to stay in control. Reflect on your money emotions. Celebrate one win, however small. This simple routine done weekly can prevent 90% of budgeting problems before they start. Overspending. You'll catch it early. Impulse urges. You'll see them coming. Unexpected bills. You'll be ready. You don't have to be perfect to win with money. You just have to be present. And this check-in keeps you present. In the final part of this video, we're going to wrap everything up. We'll go over the biggest takeaways, remind you of how far you've come, and leave you with a powerful message to carry into next month. Let's finish this strong. You've made it to the end of this video, but more importantly, you've faced something most people run from. Overspending is hard to admit, harder to analyze, and hardest of all to bounce back from with a clear head and an open heart. But you did it. You took a moment of stress and turned it into a chance to grow. So let's recap what you've learned today. First, you learned that overspending happens to everyone. It doesn't make you bad with money. It makes you human. You learn to pause and breathe. Instead of reacting with guilt or denial, to face the numbers calmly and to lead with curiosity instead of shame. You figured out how to find the exact numbers, how much you went over, in which categories, and most importantly, why. You learned how to respond mid-month by shifting your budget, trimming where needed, and adjusting without punishment. You created a plan to rebuild your budget next month with more realistic numbers, better buffers, and smarter habits. You even built a weekly check-in routine that will keep you grounded, informed, and in control moving forward. That's a full recovery system. That's real progress. And I want you to hear this. Budgeting is not about getting everything right the first time. It's about learning, adapting, and coming back stronger every time something goes off track. And you just did that. Overspending isn't a stop sign. It's a signal, a message from your budget saying, something's not working, let's fix it. And now, you have the tools to do exactly that. So here's your action step. Take 10 minutes today, just 10, and reflect. What did you learn about your spending this month? What surprised you? What stressed you? What helped you recover? Write it down. Keep it where you can see it. Let it become part of your next budget. And if this video helped you even just a little, do one of the following. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, sharing one small thing you're going to change. Or share this video with a friend who might need the same encouragement. Remember, we're not just building budgets here. We're building confidence. resilience, freedom, one step at a time, one mistake at a time, one comeback at a time. And in the next video, we're going to take it even further. We'll show you how to create an emergency fund and figure out exactly how much is enough for you. Because the truth is, budgeting is just one part of the picture. The other part, building the safety net that protects your progress when life throws a curveball. So make sure to join us for that. It might be the most important financial move you make this year. Until then, remember this. You work hard for your money. Now it's time to make your money work hard for you. Thanks for watching Money Mastery Now, and I'll see you in the next one.